I'm Jacob, and I'm going for a drive. (2023) BMW X1 xDrive 28i without launch control. Brake boost. Pretty quick, but this transmission is very clunky. Horsepower and torque! 241 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque from a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. And by now you've definitely noticed that Yuri is not here. Unfortunately, he's sick at home, possibly stuck in virtual reality, so I'm taking over. Now we've got a 7-speed dual clutch in here. I don't know why BMW put one in here. That is probably my biggest gripe with this vehicle. It does so many weird things. So if I were to come to a stop, it'll do something very weird. So stop and go. Now it moves. That's like borderline hazardous, and I'm in sport mode, which it shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. If you're in regular mode, which the drive modes are all named crazy things, it's even worse because then the start-stop system is even more aggressive. So the transmission is definitely the worst part. And you may have also noticed that there's no paddle shifters. There's none here. Not normally a problem, but with a dual clutch, it would be nice, and they're actually part of a package, part of the M Sport package. So let's see how this handles through Cliche Corner. Lots of understeer. It is all-wheel drive. Ooh, it's not bad once you toss it in and kind of treat it like a front-wheel drive car, because it is front-biased. But if you try and floor it, it's definitely not rear-biased or anything like that. But this is basically BMW's version of the Mini Countryman. So it makes sense why this does the things that it does. I should also state that this is the all-new X1. It's been completely updated from the looks to the powertrain. We do have some more power. It is a noticeable bump. It's actually decent if I were to floor it right now, other than the transmission delay. The power is not bad at all. The engine is good. The transmission is a huge letdown, and I watched Savage Geese's video, and yeah, they had the same problems. They were wondering if it was their car. Nope, Mark and Jack, it's this car as well. And the worst part about this transmission, I will stop talking about it right after this, is that BMW has access to that beautiful 8-speed ZF auto that they put in so many of their other cars. There's no issues with that transmission. They should have just stuck it here. I don't know why they put in a dual clutch, especially because this is an entry-level model, kind of a commuter vehicle. Not the best transmission choice. Done with that. So let's get to the looks. I actually think it looks pretty decent. It is longer, wider, taller, and definitely boxier than the previous one. And I actually think it's a pretty decent look. This would compare to the Mercedes GLA, and I think this looks significantly better than the new GLA. The headlights are okay. Let's just say the front end is much better than what BMW has been doing with their other models that they've been updating and refreshing. And from the side, it just looks pretty boxy, looks like a standard SUV, nothing special going on. We've got those new BMW style flush-ish door handles, which are not my favorite, especially if you have something in your hands and you're trying to open them. The old ones were definitely better than these. And the wheels are standard 5 spokes, nothing too crazy here. And the Continental recommended tire would be the ones that we're driving on. I'm driving on, sorry, I'm not used to not having Yuri here. The Continental Winter Contact TS860S. And the back end, again, nothing special here. I do like the taillights. They are sculpted out of the body. They do look really cool. And as an overall package, this does look pretty decent, especially in this Cape York green metallic paint, which is some marketing person's name for green blue, because that's what it looks like. No exhaust tips. Let's take a listen to the outside. Didn't expect it to sound like much. Now in the car, let's see what it sounds like with the iconic sounds off. Smooth. Now let's turn them back on. Definitely more apparent, but not that bad. Honestly, I would probably just leave them on. They're not bad in here. They are being pumped in. We do have a Harman Kardon audio system, and it actually is pretty decent. I've been listening to my Sirius XM channel 44. No, they're not a sponsor of ours anymore, but I still like listening to my rap music. But we do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It is wireless. You don't have the choice of wired, unfortunately, but it does work pretty well. The infotainment is this all-new system that BMW has been putting in all of their new BMWs. I think it's called iDrive 8. Not my favorite. I know for a fact it's not Yuri's favorite. It does have a lot of cool features, but they've eliminated basically all of the hard buttons except max defrost and rear defrost, which I did really need in this week's ice storm and sleet storm and freezing drizzle storm. So that was appreciated, where I actually went through all of the windshield washer fluid in this car. And the problem with that storm was that I had to go through the climate menu. I had to keep customizing things because yes, it's touchscreen. Yes, it's full climate controls through there. So if you want to do your automatic program or your non-automatic, there's a button to separate that. Then you have to control where the air goes. It's just not the best system. We do have heated seats. We do have a heated steering wheel, which is really nice. And we do have some shortcuts if you swipe from the top. So there's some decent things to this infotainment system, but still not the best. Some of the features that this one does have is automatic backup assist. So if you suck at parking, you'll probably really appreciate that, where it'll basically mimic your previous entry into a parking spot so that you don't have to do it. It's just fully hands-free. I know Yuri really likes that feature, not that he sucks at parking. And we do have a 360 camera in this one. It is very high res, no issues there. And then this one also has a head-up display with augmented reality navigation if you use the built-in navigation, so you'll probably never use it, but it's cool that it has it because it'll actually show you the turns in your infotainment. And the main gauge cluster, which looks like it's all one unit but is actually a separate display, is basically what BMW's been putting in all of their new models. You've got your TAC, you can also change that to just power, and then if you go through your crazy drive modes, let's just go through those right now. So if you click My Modes, we actually have personal, sport, efficient, expressive, and digital art. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna put it into digital art mode. Digital art is active, my screen went purple, and I can no longer see my RPMs. I only have speed. It's kind of crazy, but I guess that's what the focus group said that BMW customers would want in whoever's buying this, whatever age group. And if you do want to buy one of these, go to tsp.truecar.com, discounted price offers. But let's go back into personal. Okay, chilling in personal. Now the rest of this interior, the steering wheel does feel cheaper than other BMWs. The texture and then the buttons. This one does not have adaptive cruise control. It has a button that I believe would switch the modes if you have it, but mine only says only cruise control available. And as for the rest of the materials in here, the ones at the top that you can kind of see are good. It's when you start to get down here, that's when you start noticing the cheap plastic kind of stuff. You wouldn't expect that in like a X3 or something like that. This is the entry-level model. Now we do have this fancy floating center stack thing, whatever you want to call it, and it does still actually open, which is kind of cool, but you do lose out on a lot of storage, at least enclosed storage down here. And then we have two USB-Cs, no USB-As. USB-A is dead according to BMW with this new model. We do have wireless charging up front where it actually kind of holds your phone in there. It's kind of interesting. I don't mind it. We have our cup holders down here, and it does pass the medium cup test today. And visors, I actually kind of wouldn't mind if they slid right now. 3, 2, 1, fail. Okay, here's a perfect example. I don't know if you can see this, of why we want the visors to slide, because right here, my left eye is being blinded, and if it slid just that bit, I could stop that. And if you'd like to add a premium touch to this interior, get yourself a set of TuxMat. Go to tuxmat.com/TheStraightPipes to see what they have available for your car. And one of the cool options that this one has is this open pored eucalyptus wood, which I think actually looks pretty nice in here. Like, this is, I would say, quite premium. The most premium part of this entire interior, other than the looks of the gauge cluster, which again isn't that functional. The seats are really comfortable. They're very well bolstered. I have no issues with these seats other than the fact that I just lied to you. There's no lumbar support. That is my only issue, so it would be nice if we had that. The bolstering and everything is good. The rear seats are totally decent because I actually fit behind myself at 6'1.5" relatively comfortably. Headroom, no problem, I think, thanks to this boxy shape. Knee room could be a little bit more, but considering this is a X1 series, very small, not bad. Trunk space, very, very good, again, because of the box shape. And it's also really nice to have the lock button beside the trunk close button, so good job, BMW. And I saved the best for last, the comfort of driving this car. I know Yuri doesn't want to talk about that up front, and normally I would like to as well, but I'm going to save it for the end, for Yuri's honor of not being here. It is actually really comfortable to drive this. The suspension is really good, really well damped, no issues. There is an optional M Sport package, which would then get you the paddle shifters and adaptive suspension, so that would be cool, but it's kind of ridiculous that they tied both of those features together. However, I don't think you really need those two features. This is not really a sporty vehicle. The suspension just needs to be comfortable in a car like this, and they did nail that. BMW typically does nail their damping, and this car is no exception to that. So I think that's all I'd like to say about this new BMW X1, other than follow me on Instagram. It's really Jacob. Yuri's not here to stop me. I show watches, I show cars, I show, I don't know, a bunch of crazy stuff. Also follow Yuri, follow the Straight Pipes. Okay, let's get to the price. This one starts at $44,990 Canadian, and this one is optioned to $54,235, which is not bad for an entry-level BMW. The only problem is the Mini Countryman John Cooper Works exists, and I think I like that a lot more than this. There is less interior space. However, the driving experience, if you value driving, go with the JCW. It's basically the same price as this. You get more power, and it's just a more fun car. This one still gets you some of that BMW-ness, so if you really want the badge, you kind of have to get this one. So the closest competitor that we've driven to this would be the GLA. I think this does look way better than a GLA. I think the GLA has some better interior functionality things, although this interior looks much better. So if you're okay with all the touchscreen stuff, I think this is probably a better product than the GLA, although this transmission, for me, is a deal breaker, so I would actually go with the GLA. So let me know what you guys think of the new BMW X1, and don't worry, Yuri's gonna be back for the next video. See you guys at the next one.